Match day 9 was not so fine for West Ham this weekend as we got taught a little bit of a lesson, brought back down to earth. Aston Villa 4, West Ham 1. Wasn't the great away day that we was all hoping for. We knew it was going to be difficult going to Villa Park, but with our recent record at Villa Park, we thought we might get something, but we did. We got absolutely battered. Yeah, I mean, where do we start with this? I mean, let's go right back to the starting lineup. Wrong decision. Once again, Antonio starting. He has to be dropped. I think it proved yesterday why Antonio needs to be dropped. And I don't want to be a critic of Antonio. I don't want to be harsh on him, but I think he needs to be dropped just for him himself, just to get that fire back in his belly. When he's on the bench and he comes on in games, that's when Antonio is at his best. He's got something to prove. And I think Kudus now needs to start. He needs to be starting in these games. The midfield picks itself. Back four, once again, Aguerd starting alongside Zuma. Mavropanos has got to be... He's got to be knocking on the door for a Premier League start now because we are conceding too many goals. I mean, when you look around that pitch yesterday, there was no one that really stood out for me. I can't sit here now as a West Ham fan and say, yeah, he done all right. Yeah, he didn't have a bad game. Nah, I thought everyone was poor. Paqueta, he's one of these players, when he wants the ball, he's a joy to watch. He's doing these little tricks, little flicks, get the crowds off the edge of their seats. Whoa, look at that. And then 2 minutes later, he's strolling around the pitch. Now, listen, I know he is a wizard. He's a genius. And listen, magicians have days off. Sometimes magicians do a trick on stage. They go to pull a rabbit out of the hat and the rabbit's not there. The trick ain't worked. Paqueta ain't going to be a 10 out of 10 every week. We know that. But you see the first goal. He just loses lack of concentration. Lets Douglas Luiz just stroll around, get that ball on the edge of the box. Great work down the left from Ollie Watkins, by the way. Chased the ball down. So much space. He had so much space. He could have walked off and gone and got a hot dog and a beer if he wanted to. Come back and no one would have got the ball. But yeah, he's laid it back. Could Areola have done better? I don't know. It's easy for me to say, but look, I wasn't in Areola's position. Probably a little bit blindside, a little deflection. Look, 1-0 down. What we deserved. I've got to give Aston Villa a lot of credit in this game. All right, okay, we did have spells. If there was one weakness in Aston Villa yesterday, it was their defence. The line was a bit too high and they were a little bit shaky. Second half, David Moyes would have had his team talk, could have made the substitution, should have made the substitution, should have took Antonio off. He was poor in the first half. What happens then? Same team comes out. Okay, let's get on with it. Let's see if we can get back in this game. Bang. Once again, Paqueta, gets the ball, wins it back. Instead of trying to knock it downfield, knock it off the Villa player to get it for a throw on, what does he do? Lays the ball back towards his own goal, and then Alvarez brings down the Villa player, and then it's a penalty. It's a penalty. Can't argue with it. In the ground, we don't see the replays. See the game. A few people were saying it wasn't a penalty. I see it in the replay on Match of the Day 2 last night. It was a penalty. Silly from Alvarez. Once again, Douglas Luiz, smashes the ball. Great penalty. And what can you do in them situations? You can't argue with it. It's a silly, silly mistake. And then you're fearing the worst. You're thinking, we're going to get absolutely patted here. We've got no chance. Then out of nowhere, Jarrod Bowen, luckiest goal he's probably ever going to score. Huge deflection, beats the goalkeeper. But Bowen keeps up his great run of form in scoring goals. So we get back into the game and then we have a little spell. We have that little spell where Villa looked a little bit shaky at the back. They conceded a few corners. They looked shaky. Then for me, the moment that changed the game, and look, I thought it at the time. I thought bringing Thomas Souček off was a huge mistake. Antonio should have come off. Leave Souček on. Souček come on for Kudus. As soon as Souček comes out in that midfield, they had a lot of freedom in the first half. in our midfield. But once you took Souček off, they had the whole of the midfield. They run that midfield. We could not even get close to them. You know, Souček should have stayed on. Antonio off, Kudus on up top, but no, he takes off Souček, leaves Antonio on. I don't know what Antonio must have something over David Moyes, because if Moyes can't see that performance from Antonio, you know, he should have been dragged off at half time, but he's been given another chance. And then it was a mistake from Kudus that led to Ollie Watkins' goal. You know, he's trying to drag it down, you know, in mid-air. Header it. You don't want to, you know, don't try to drag it down. Give the ball away. Ollie Watkins been played through one-on-one with Kurt Zouma, little step over, and it's a world-class finish. Great finish. The power he got generated from that position. Areola, front post. Should he have done better? I just think Ollie Watkins hit it so well. I don't think if you had had 2 or 3 Areolas in goal, I don't think you'd have stopped that. But once that went in, it was game over. It was all, now let's just see it out and hope that we don't concede 4 or 5. And we did. You know, we conceded the 4th goal. Another great finish, Leon Bailey, who just come on. You know, great finish. And yeah, it was it's just a bad day at the office. But look, there's a lot of lessons, a lot of Moyes has got a lot to learn from that game going forward this week. The good thing is with football, and I said this on fan cams, after a heavy defeat, football, you know, you have games come thick and fast. So we can bounce back this week. You know, we've got 2 games this week, Olympiacos and Everton at home. 2 massive games. We need to get back to winning ways, because we don't want that defeat to affect us going forward. You know, Moyes, he's got to change it. You know, for me, we're leaking too many goals, so we're going to have a little mix about in the back 4. Whether you bring Kehrer in to the team, whether you bring Mavropanos in, you know, Aguerd, maybe another player that needs to be dropped. You know, the midfield for me, I think we've done well this season in midfield. Ward-Prowse, Alvarez, you know, Souček. I think they've started the season really well. So, you know, you can't really change much in there, but it's got to be up top. Antonio needs to be dropped. As I said at the beginning, drop him, let him sit on the bench for a little while, because I think that when you've got someone like Antonio, you're playing against a team, say for instance on Sunday, Everton, 65 minutes in, 75 minutes, you bring on a fresh Antonio. All them defenders are going to look at it thinking, oh, God, that's the last thing we want to see is an Antonio coming on. And I just think that he needs to be dropped. Look, Moyes has got to take criticism for yesterday. Paqueta, you know, Antonio, a lot of players to let us down yesterday, but they've got to, you know, I'm happy to sit here and praise them when we're winning. So when we're losing, I'm going to criticize them. You know, I'm not going to go overboard like some people yesterday saying Moyes out, and I'm like, come on, we've still had a decent start to the season, you know, with what we've played, but now we've just got to get back the winning ways. But if we carry on like this, then it's only going to affect David Moyes and you know, but look, let's try to, I don't want to be too down. You know, I'm only talking about what I see yesterday. My only highlight yesterday probably for me was accidentally when we missed the M1 coming home and took another direction. And yeah, we was owned by 10. And by the sounds of it, a lot of West Ham fans were stuck on that M1 after a big accident. So, yeah, that's probably the only highlight of my day yesterday, was getting home a lot earlier than some people. But look, we move on. It's football. We can put it right this week. Come on, you Irons. Look, as you know, this is my weekend show where I round up. I do a little bit of a Premier League review as well. So look, I'm going to go through let's get the scores up from the weekend. I'm going to quickly go through these. Let's have a quick look. So yeah, I mean, Saturday started off Merseyside derby. Everton going into this game, you know, bit like West Ham, hardly ever get anything at Anfield, and they wasn't helped with Ashley Young getting sent off in the game. It took until the 75th minute for Liverpool to get their first goal. A penalty. It was a penalty all day long. You know, you can't argue that. Keane's got his arm out. I don't know why he's got his arm out. You know, you're going to risk giving a penalty away. And there was a few incidents like that over the weekend, but Mo Salah does what he does, smashes the ball into the back of the net. You know, I see that sort of similar penalty with my own eyes when we played them there the other week. And yeah, and then late 97th minute, you know, Salah wraps up the game for Liverpool, 2-0 win, and it put them top of the league for a couple of hours. Next up, down at the South Coast, Bournemouth played Wolves. Gary O'Neill going back to his old team, the team that got rid of him. He helped keep them up last season. I think they finished 15th, which was good for Bournemouth. They sacked him, and he must have been, all week, he must have been leading up to this game thinking, please just get a win. I just want to win. I just want to win. And his team did not let him down. You know, Bournemouth went 1-0 up, Solanke early on, but then Wolves just got back into the game just after half-time. Another assist from Neto, you know, a player that's on fire. Kuna with a finish. And then, yeah, later on, you know, Wolves get the winner. And, yeah, you know, it's a great victory on the road for Wolves. Next up, Brentford took on Burnley. Brentford, who have had a poor start to the season. You know, they've had a really couple of good seasons, but they haven't started this season flying. Comfortable 3-0 home win. Burnley, nowhere near Brentford. You know, no point in them even turning up. Burnley are really struggling this season. A team that I thought were going to do a lot better than what they're doing. You know, Vincent Kompany played that brand of football in the Championship and he absolutely smashed it. But in the Premier League, you can't do that. And, comfortable 3-0 victory for Brentford over Burnley. Next up, Man City, back to winning ways against Brighton. The way it started, Alvarez opened the scoring after 7th minute. Erling Haaland back on the score sheet after going a couple of games without scoring. And then after that, you think it's going to be a comfortable victory, comfortable afternoon for Man City. You know, could it be 3, 4, 5-0? But no, Brighton got back into it. Ansu Fati got one back. Brighton had a couple of chances, same as Man City, really. But Man City see it out, and yeah, Man City went back to the top of the league after a run of couple of games, 2 defeats in a row, I think it was, in the Premier League coming into this game. So, yeah, another great victory, and Haaland back on the score sheet. Next up, we go to a high-flying Newcastle at St James's Park, and Newcastle just seemed to go from strength to strength. You know, they're really impressing this season. You know, they're doing well in the Champions League. You know, and it's another great victory over a poor Palace side at the weekend. You know, Johnson, who's, you know, kept a few clean sheets this season, picked the ball out of the back of his net 4 times. You know, another assist from Kieran Trippier set up Murphy to open the scoring after 4 minutes. Anthony Gordon put Newcastle 2-0 up just before half-time. And then just before half-time, Newcastle 3-0 up. Sean Longstaff with a goal. And then second half, Newcastle cruising, you know, never in any doubt, never in any fear that Palace were going to get anything back. Had a couple of chances, nothing really to upset the Geordies. But Callum Wilson rounded off the scoring, 4-0 victory, and another great victory for Newcastle going into the European games this week. So, yeah, fair play to them. Nottingham Forest versus Luton. Nottingham Forest 2-0 up, cruising. Chris Wood, you know, you think nice little home victory for Nottingham Forest against Luton Town. But no, Luton have really, really starting to impress me with just their directness, the way they play approach games. They never give up. You know, I think they're just going to have this attitude where, you know, they just don't matter if they're 4-0 down, they're still going to go for it and try to score just to give their fans some memories in the Premier League. And they get themselves, Ogbene gets one back in an 83rd minute, and then Adebayo equalises. Great finish, 92nd minute, breaking Nottingham Forest hearts, but giving them Luton fans another Premier League memory. And it was a great point on the road, and fair play to them. Next up, probably the game of the weekend, Chelsea versus Arsenal. be honest, wasn't expecting much from Chelsea in this game. The form that they've sort of been in, and the form Arsenal been in. But no, fair play to Chelsea. Off from the start, went for it. Early penalty, another handball decision of the weekend. And yeah, Cole Palmer, another penalty, second goal, turning out to be a great signing from Manchester City. And then, just after half time, Mudryk with probably, did he mean it? I don't think so. Pochettino said that he meant it. Mudryk, I think he's come out and said that he meant it, but he would say that. But no, yeah, he didn't mean it. But look, it's gone in the back of the net, 2-0 up. You think Chelsea are going to see this game out? And then a silly mistake from the goalkeeper. Declan Rice was there to score. Great finish, first time. And yeah, 84th minute, Trossard gets Arsenal back into the game, 2-2. And then with the goals that Arsenal have scored late this season, you think that they're going to go on and get a winner, a late winner. But no, Chelsea see it out. Probably a fair result on the reflection of the game. But it's moments like this that you look at Arsenal and think, yeah, they're title contenders. Because they've got this attitude this season that they don't give up. They've got to do it all season. They've got to do it all season. We all know, everyone that's watched Premier League over the last few years know that City go on an unbeaten 10, 15 game run. So Arsenal have to go toe to toe with them this season, and they've got to get on a run like that. To finish off, round off the weekend, Manchester United travelled to Sheffield United. What can I say about this game? Not the most entertaining of games, but United, got through. Scott McTominay with another goal. And then Scott McTominay down the other end conceded the penalty. McBurney scoring for Sheffield United. 1-1 at half time. You're thinking, can Sheffield United I didn't think they was good enough to nick a winner, but could they see it out? And then it was the 77th minute, Lindelof with the assist and Diogo Dalot, great finish and gets the victory for Manchester United. And yeah, I mean, that was the weekend. One game on Sunday. I've already discussed it. I don't want to talk about it again for obvious reasons. Aston Villa 4, West Ham 1. But yeah, look, that was the weekend. That was the results. One fixture still to play this weekend is Tottenham, a London derby against Fulham tonight. So yeah, a chance for Tottenham to continue their unbeaten run and go back to the top of the league. Talking to the league table, let's have a quick look at it there. As you can see, Manchester City joint top with Arsenal, Liverpool closing in. As I said, Tottenham can go back to the top of the league tonight with a win. Aston Villa up to 5th. Newcastle up to 6th. Brighton down to 7th. Manchester United, West Ham and Chelsea complete the top 10. As you can see there, Palace, Wolves, Fulham, Brentford and Forest. Everton in 16th. Luton still outside the bottom 3 on 5 points in 17th. And then completing the bottom 3 is Burnley, Bournemouth and Sheffield United on 1 point. As always, have a quick look at the top goal scorer charts. Erling Haaland hasn't scored for a couple of weeks. Got his goal on Saturday. That season 9 for the season. Closely followed by Mo Salah and Jarrod Bowen. And as you can see there, usual suspects on the chart there. Assisting these goal scorers, as you can see there, Pedro Neto, one of the players of the season so far, on 6. Joint with Kieran Trippier, who's had a great start. And as you can see there, Maddison and Watkins on 5. Soufal joint with Mo Salah. I think you probably won't say that in many charts this season. Soufal and Mo Salah joint. But look, let's have a look. Clean sheets. Sam Johnston, 4 clean sheets this season. He did concede 4 on Saturday, but he's still up there, joint with Nick Pope. I'll just pray one day that Areola's on there. We need to start keeping some clean sheets. But weekend's fixtures, Friday night football, Crystal Palace play Spurs. Spurs on a Monday and Spurs on a Friday. Who's picking these fixtures? Eh? He must be an Arsenal fan. Let's wear Spurs out early in the season. Saturday, Chelsea versus Brentford, Arsenal, Sheffield United, Bournemouth versus Burnley, and the 5:30 kickoff is Wolves versus Newcastle. On Sunday, the European elite join West Ham, 1 o'clock kickoff at home to Everton. Big game for West Ham. That we need to get back to winning ways. Villa take on Luton. Brighton play Fulham. Liverpool versus Forest. And then what a way to end the weekend. 3:30 kickoff. Manchester United take on Manchester City at Old Trafford. That will be an unbelievable game. And yeah, I mean, that was the weekend. That was that was the weekend. West Ham, letting us down. But look, as you can see that last fixture there, Manchester United versus Man City. As you know, at the weekend, the devastating news broke that Sir Bobby Charlton, 86 years old, sadly passed away. I mean, I was watching Sky Sports News, Gillette Soccer Saturday, when they announced it, and yeah, it was shocking. Give me goosebumps. Absolute legend, absolute footballing legend, icon. For what he done for the game, for Manchester United and England. 758 games for United, 249 goals, 17-year career at Man United, 3 league titles. As we know, won the European Cup and an FA Cup. But for me, as a football fan, an England fan, as a kid, you grow up, and as you can see on the wall there, more Hurst and Peters, you grow up learning about legends of the game, and you learn about that 1966 team, and Sir Bobby Charlton was a huge part of that team. 106 caps for England, 49 goals, and you got to remember he was a midfielder. And to get them numbers is unreal, and especially back in the days, because the balls are not as light as they are now. They were heavy footballs, heavy pitches, and he was an absolute legend, top goal scorer in the World Cup as well. He won the Ballon d'Or that year, beating off the likes of Eusebio, Beckenbauer, Bobby Moore. He was also runner-up in 67 and 68. I mean, I don't think we appreciate how good he was. I mean, as a Manchester United fan, you obviously know a lot more about Bobby Charlton, but when you read them numbers and you look at what he done for the game, unbelievable. I mean, I was lucky enough that I've met Jeff Hurst and I've met Martin Peters. I've also met Alan Ball a few years ago. So to meet members of the 1966 World Cup team was an absolute honour. And I never got the privilege of meeting Sir Bobby Charlton, but I did obviously see him. There's a couple of times I have seen him. He was at he presented a trophy to, I think it was Alex Ferguson or someone when West Ham played at Old Trafford many years ago. And I was also at Wembley the day when he presented Wayne Rooney with his golden boot or cap, I think it was. I can't remember, but obviously Rooney broke Sir Bobby Charlton's record. So yeah, it was. It's a sad loss. It's a sad loss to the world of football. My thoughts are with his family and everyone connected to Sir Bobby Charlton, Man United fans, England fans. There was a huge mark of respect over the weekend. And yeah, out of that 1966 World Cup winning team, there's only Sir Geoff Hurst left now. I think someone said to me yesterday, there's only 2 Sirs remaining now in football, English football, Sir Geoff Hurst and Sir Trevor Brooking. So yeah, life's so short. We don't appreciate life, and it's not until you start getting older and you start losing legend and family members that you stop. You really need to enjoy life, because we're only here for a very, very short time. It might seem a long time, but it's not. So just enjoy life. And yeah, as I say, I'm just going to end the show on this note that, yeah, my thoughts and prayers go out to everyone. And Sir Bobby Charlton, you are an absolute legend, and thank you for everything you've done for the game of football, especially for England.